character of Michael Brown Jr. I think that it was irresponsible. I think that it was unnecessarily provocative. But I think it only cleared why many of us said, let's go to the federal government from the first place. He implied last night that the federal government and the state investigation ran hand in hand and ended last night. That is not the case. The Attorney General has released a statement saying the federal government investigation continues in the killing and in the review. And Mr. McCullough's statements last night led others to believe differently. Let me be very clear that we were not surprised at what the outcome was. Certainly it is painful for the mother and father. Certainly there'll be emotional reactions. I've never seen a case where there wasn't. You're dealing with their flesh and blood. But let the record be clear. You have broken our hearts, but you have not broken our backs. We are going to continue to pursue justice. And this is not a Ferguson problem. There's a grand jury about a week or two away from deciding the chokehold case in New York. There's a 12-year-old that was just killed by police in Cleveland. This is a problem all over the country. Right now, 12 noon all over the country, people are marching and gathering in front of federal courthouses. National Action Network, NAACP, National Urban League, all of our members are coming out. Empowerment movement. Today, other Saturday, we'll be all over the country. We will continue to fight for a new level of accountability of policing in this country. Michael Brown will not be remembered for the ashes from buildings burned in Ferguson. He will be remembered for new legislation and the upholding of law that protects citizens in the country. Let me also remind you, for over 100 days, young people, older people, people of all races marched and rallied in this city. And they did it peacefully and nonviolently. Yes, those that got violent last night, those that acted in a destructive manner, does not represent the spirit of Michael Brown. It was those young people, those old people that stood no matter what the weather for over 103 days, that kept going. Those are the ones that have stood for Michael Brown. They're on Brown's side. Those that burn are on their own side. If you're on Michael Brown's side, you walk with dignity. If you're on Michael Brown's side, you stand up with pride and call to uphold the law. If you do anything to harm others, you're on your own side. You're not on Brown's side. We are on the side of Michael Brown to fight for what is right. Don't lower those standards. In that light, we also question how you have grand juries now that are trial juries. The use of a grand jury is to find out if there is probable cause to go to trial. You do not have a grand jury to decide on the guilt or innocence of the accused. You only decide, is there enough to go for? You have a deceased body, this person did it, their accusations, he contradicts them, it goes to trial. The fact that last night the prosecutor was not announcing whether there was probable cause, he was announcing the acquittal of the officer because he tried him rather than investigate him. And that is a miscarriage and a misuse of the grand jury system. Let's be real clear what we saw. We also, in that light, Mark Morial of National Urban League, who was present. Cornell Brooks, Dr. Brooks, president of NAACP. Melanie Campbell of Black Leadership Roundtable Women, and Pamela Mays of the National Bar Association. And I have called an emergency civil rights leadership meeting in Washington, D.C. next week. In that meeting, Reverend Jamal Bryant, Empowerment Temple, in that meeting we will determine an ongoing strategy that will include mass and regular marches, legislation, and economic boycotts. We will not turn around. We want you to know that we will have the leading activists, civil rights activists, including some of our young groups that want room on the platform, that have shown the ability to mobilize. This is not about all of us liking each other. This is about all of us being bonded with a common goal. And we will come out of that summit and lay out a plan that will constructively help to change this nation and bear on those ongoing cases. Because we just had another case in New York over the weekend in a public housing of a stairwell. Michael Brown has lit a new energy for police accountability. I remember when Rodney King happened, our hearts were broken when we went to Simi Valley and watched a trial jury acquit those police. There was violence after that, but we kept on going, and the federal government came in and those policemen were convicted. So before you think this is over, remember what happened in Rodney King. We went from Simi Valley to the federal government. This will not end in the valley here. We're going to keep on going. We have told this family we're with them to the end. And we've told them we're going to do it with dignity. And we told them we were going to do it unfinished the cause. That is why we're here today, to let Michael Brown Sr. and Liz know that we may have lost one round, but the fight is not over. And Brother Shaheed and Brother Akbar, anytime you watch a fight, sometimes you can even get knocked down in a round. But I've seen champions get up off the mat and still win the fight. We took a blow last night, but that's all right. We've gone to the corner and cleared our heads. We come out for the next round.
Thank you, Reverend Sharpton. We took a blow, but some people said it was a fixed fight. It ain't over. And I am reminded, again, as I sit with my co-counsel and Attorney Means, the prosecutor is supposed to prosecute, not be the defense attorney for the person that we're sitting in judgment of. And so that's troubling. We got to deal with these real issues, because this process was supposed to give clarity when they release this data dump.
All right, whoa.
Okay. We're in church.
What is it?
I don't know. Should we go ahead and get there and go? Okay. No. Thank you so much for coming out. Thank you. Action, which was caught on video following the grand jury announcement, was born out of desperation and frustration after watching the decision that the killer of her unarmed child would not be brought to justice. I'm giving everybody just a moment to set back up. Just a moment to set back up.
Let me say this before y'all distort it. There was a so-called reporter, blogger, saying some stuff about I came only to stir things up that John responded to. So before y'all act like there was a disturbance among the folk, they were concerned about him coming in as a blogger, castigating me. We went, Mike Sr. and I, to tell them, let him say what he wants to say. So I just want y'all, when y'all run the pictures, disruption at the conference. It was one of y'all bloggers that caused the disruption. And we went so our people would not overreact. I just want to give clarity what it is. And I have no problem with a guy not wanting to hear what I got to say, but then why would you come to where I'm the one speaking? It just really don't make sense. Who do you think was going to speak at my press conference? That's just like all the folk that like me on Facebook to cuss me out. That really don't make a lot of sense.
Thank you, Rev. Donna, I tried to answer your question. Again, Leslie McSpadden's immediate reaction, which was caught on videotape after hearing the devastating news that the killer of her child was not going to be brought to justice, was overwhelming to her. She, as a Ferguson community, understands that we all have a responsibility to protect the community. Michael Brown Sr. is here speaking on behalf of his family, and you all saw his PSA where he continued to ask for calm. And that's one of the reasons why he is not speaking today. You don't want to be able to use the raw emotion of a family that has been devastated once by seeing their child dead on the ground, and then getting the devastating news of a prosecutor who was supposed to go and represent people like Michael Brown, but accused Michael Brown. So that's the raw emotion of it, and we try to move on, focused on the cause of saying nobody is going to condone violence, and we're going to reject it. And as Reverend Al said, people who do that stuff, it's not appropriate. Michael said it so eloquently, asking for peace and calm. And so we'll move on. Yeah, go ahead. You know, well, two quick things on that. As Attorney Means just reminded me, you know, prosecutors, when you come to put on your case, you don't put on your worst case, you put on your best case. Does anybody think that he put on his best case? You know, and then why change the rules when it's our children dead on the ground? You know, for all the 28 years or so, Reverend Al, that he was the prosecutor, he did grand juries, you know, he recommended charges. He didn't go dump everything out. So he said he did it this way because it was so fair. So is that to say for the other 28 years he was unfair? Don't change the rules on us. We want equal justice. We want due process.
Well, let me say to the first part of your question, because I think the second question has been answered. The first part of your question, it is, and you are probably more aware than most of the media, if not all that are here, it has been the legacy of his civil rights movement that you always had to go to the federal government and could not depend on states, whether it was Goodman, Cheney, or Swerner, whether it was Michael Brown Jr. So we are not in a strange place. We had hoped we'd be in a different place, but it's not strange. And I think that it is interesting that on the day that Goodman, Cheney, and Swerner were given the Medal of Freedom was the day that McCullough decided in the dark hours to announce his state decision on the Michael Brown case. And 8 years ago today, Sean Bell was killed by police in New York. So all of these things come together. But I think the lawyers have stated the legal case. I say that many of us, for Mark Morial and Cornell Brooks and all of us, This is not our first rodeo, McCullough.